Good evening, brave souls. Welcome to our dark corner of the world, where the chilling winds of January howl secrets of the unseen and the unheard. Tonight, we bring you 4 true, disturbing horror stories for January 2024. A collection of tales that will unsettle and unnerve even the most hardened of hearts. These are not mere stories. They are windows into the most sinister aspects of reality, accounts of terror that have befallen the unfortunate. As the new year begins, we tread into the shadows of the unknown, exploring the darkness that lingers just beneath the surface of the everyday. Each story is a testament to the eerie and the macabre that exist all around us, hidden in plain sight. So settle in, dim the lights, and prepare yourself. You're about to embark on a journey through the twisted corridors of fear and dread. Are you ready to face what lies ahead in January 2024? Hey everyone, welcome back! I know the videos have been kind of all over the place, but I'm finally back to my normal schedule. I hope you all enjoyed the holidays. Today's stories are all pretty disturbing, so let's be respectful to the people who sent these stories in the comments. I'll have the timestamps for each story down below, and if you have a story of your own, you can send it to Southern Cannibal. Let's go ahead and get started, and remember to always stay hungry. Our first story comes from someone who wishes to be identified by their middle name, Sean, to protect their family's privacy. They recently returned home to Mobile, Alabama, to spend time with their mother for her birthday in a newly built neighborhood. What seemed like a routine visit turned eerie when they noticed the attic door slightly open. None had been up there since the house was built. Amidst New Year's Eve celebrations, strange occurrences began to unsettle the festive mood. Sean recounts hearing noises from the garage and discovering unsettling evidence of an unwelcome resident in the attic. It's a chilling reminder of the unseen dangers that can lurk even in our most secure spaces. Our second story tonight involves a New Year's Day encounter at a local bar. After some day drinking, Greg and the storyteller decided to visit their favorite watering hole close to home. The night was filled with the usual camaraderie and New Year's cheer until a seemingly harmless conversation with a middle-aged man took a dark turn. The man's claim of being in the cartel and his aggressive behavior quickly sobered up the evening, turning what was supposed to be a night of celebration into one of caution and unease. As we dive into these stories, let's remember the courage it takes to share these experiences. Each account provides us with a glimpse into the strange, often disturbing encounters that can unexpectedly alter our lives. So, make sure you're comfortable and perhaps double-check your logs as we explore the dark side of human experience in these 4 true, disturbing horror stories for January 2024. Attempting to diffuse the tension with humor, I soon realized the gravity of the situation when the man at the bar fixed me with a severe stare. Greg, sensing the imminent danger, quickly sat down. The air was thick with tension, broken momentarily when Amy, the bartender, came out to check on us. Seizing the opportunity, I followed her inside to settle our tab, noticing the man's relentless gaze following me. As I paid the bill, he approached me again, issuing a veiled threat should I venture back outside. I acknowledged him with a nod and quickly made my way to the side door where Greg was waiting, signaling our planned escape. We dashed out, hearing the man's ominous promise to find us echoing behind us. Once home, the gravity of what could have happened weighed heavily on us. Greg shared the disturbing things he'd heard the man say inside, further unsettling us. The experience became a stark reminder to trust our instincts and be wary of strangers with ill intentions. Now let's continue with CJ's story. At 15, living in a tumultuous family situation, she faced a series of events that brought about significant emotional and mental turmoil. On a rainy day after school, an early drop-off from the bus led to an unplanned grocery trip with her dad. The journey to the town, usually mundane, became the backdrop for a deeply distressing incident that would impact her and her family profoundly. Driving past the middle school on a curvy section of the highway, our normal day turned into a nightmare in an instant when a small red truck lost control and collided head-on with us. The impact was jarring, sending shards of glass flying and bending the steering wheel under my dad's grip. Pain washed over me, particularly in my left arm and shoulder, and all I could hear was a loud ringing in my ears. Looking over at my dad, I realized the gravity of the situation. His injuries were severe, his breathing labored and shallow. The sight of his pale face and the panic in the eyes of the people gathering around us filled me with dread. A lady comforted me, urging me to stay strong for my dad and remain still to avoid further injury. She assisted me in calling my mom and my boyfriend to inform them of the accident and the hospital we were heading to. As paramedics arrived, their focus was on my dad, working to free him from the wreckage. His size, compounded by his diabetes, made it difficult for them to move him. The sounds of his pain as they worked to get him onto the stretcher were haunting. I was also placed on a stretcher, clutching our phones and my headphones, and loaded into another ambulance. The EMT with me was kind, engaging in gentle conversation as she placed a neck brace on me and started an IV. Her calming presence helped steady my nerves as we made our way to the hospital. The events that unfolded were a blur of fear, pain, and concern for my dad. A day that started ordinarily but ended in an unforeseen tragedy that would leave a lasting impact on us both. Upon arriving at the hospital, I was swiftly wheeled into a room with glass windows and doors. The medical staff diligently worked to ensure my privacy and comfort as they prepared me for a series of checks and scans. The most excruciating pain was in my left arm and shoulder, leading to x-rays that revealed a sprained shoulder. I also underwent a full-body MRI scan, a loud and unsettling experience, leaving me anxious for its completion. Once the scans were done, and before any pandemic restrictions, I was relieved to have visitors come into my room. Friends and family, their faces etched with concern, offered words of comfort and relief upon seeing me conscious and able to converse. However, the situation with my dad was dire. The crash had caused his ribs to puncture his lungs, leading to severe internal bleeding. Despite the medical team's efforts to stabilize him, his condition remained critical, and he was transferred to a more specialized facility. Watching my family's somber expressions as he was wheeled away is an image I can never forget. Later that evening, I was discharged with a prescription for pain medication and went to my uncle's, where my mother was staying. After picking up my prescription and an arm sling to support my injured shoulder, I received the devastating news. My father had passed away in the hospital. The grief that swept over me was indescribable, shared by my mother and sister as we grappled with the sudden loss. My father, at 38, had been a pillar in our lives, leaving a void that would never be filled. The tragedy of the accident extended beyond our family. The young driver of the other truck also lost his life. At 19, his untimely death was a sorrow shared by another family, a reminder of the fragility of life and the randomness of tragic events. The accident, occurring at a combined speed of 120 miles per hour, left me as the sole survivor, a fact that often leads me to reflect on the fleeting nature of existence and the preciousness of the moments we share with loved ones. This event has profoundly impacted me and my family, leaving an indelible mark on our hearts and lives. It's a reminder of the importance of cherishing every moment and the unpredictable nature of life. My father's memory lives on, a guiding force and a reminder of the love and joy we shared during his time with us. In the aftermath of the accident, I was left with a sprained shoulder and severe bruising from the seatbelt, injuries that linger to this day, particularly when I attempt to lift heavy objects. Beyond the physical scars, the incident left deep psychological wounds. I was diagnosed with PTSD, a testament to the profound impact the accident had on my mental well-being. However, with the support of therapists, friends, and family, I've made significant strides in my recovery. I've recently obtained my driver's permit, a milestone in moving past this traumatic event. I appreciate everyone who has supported me through this journey. Please cherish your loved ones, especially your parents, and hold them close. Now let's shift to another story from Ime, who was 16 at the time. Going through a difficult breakup, Ime sought solace at a friend's house, away from an abusive ex-partner. Over time, her ex's behavior had grown increasingly disturbing, with invasive and uncomfortable actions that left Ime feeling constantly watched and unsafe. One night, while getting water, Ime heard a crashing noise from the living room. The unsettling sounds continued, escalating her fear. Then, chillingly, she recognized the voice of her ex, calling out to her. The encounter quickly turned threatening as he taunted and menaced her, leaving Ime frozen with fear. Despite wanting to flee or seek help, she was paralyzed, unsure how to protect herself and her friend from the danger he posed. "I can't stand to live without you," he said, pulling out a switchblade from his pocket. I was horrified. What the hell had he planned to do? Was he going to kill me? "What are you doing?" "Do you plan to kill me?" I growled at him. "You won't be able to live with yourself if you do that." "You're coming with me, Emily. I will force you to come with me. You have no choice," he said, walking closer to me. I had started to breathe heavily, and at this point, I had no choice but to run. I bolted up the stairs, but something strange happened. He didn't follow me. He just stood at the bottom of the steps, and I saw that insidious smile cross his face. He then laughed like an insane person. "Go ahead, Emily. Run! Run to your little friend. Cry to her about what you saw. This isn't over. You can call the police, but they'll never find me. I will come for you," he smiled menacingly. I ran as fast as I could and then bolted into my friend's room, slamming the door behind me. I breathed heavily, and the loud slam woke up my friend. "Emily, what's wrong?" she asked. I started crying, falling to my knees. She ran over and pulled me into a hug, and I continued to cry into her shoulder. "What happened?" she asked, begging for me to answer her. "It was him," I said. "He's back. He attacked me." I then began to cry. My friend didn't know what to say, and I could tell she was pissed off. "Is he still here?" she asked. "I don't know, but he said no matter what we do, he's not going to leave me alone." "He's going to find me," I cried into her shoulder. "No, he won't, and I'll be the one to make sure of that." "I'll call the police on him," she said, starting to stand up. "That's not going to change anything. They told me the police will never find him." "I'm scared, Rosie," I whimpered. "You're going to stay with me until he's caught and put to justice. The police will find him. It doesn't matter if he thinks he'll escape. He will be found," she said in a very serious tone. After crying for a little while longer, I eventually fell asleep, but this continued to haunt me. The following morning, I woke up wondering how he knew where I was. Was he stalking me? The next day, we were at school, and I had met up with my friend Anthony, who was one of my closest friends. I told him about the situation that happened the other night and how I was terrified. "So he just broke in?" Anthony asked. "Yeah, he threatened to kill me if I didn't come with him." "I'm scared, Anthony. I don't feel safe going anywhere by myself anymore," I said. "You won't. I'll always be by your side. Me and Rosie won't ever leave you alone. If I ever see that creep come around you, I'll deal with that myself. I won't allow him to put a hand on you," Anthony promised, taking my hand. I smiled very lightly and gave him a light nod. I was glad to know that I had someone who was there for me. Weeks had passed since the situation, and I had started to feel better. But all of that changed on one night. It was January 21st, 2019, and I was taking a walk around the block. I needed to get out and get some fresh air. I felt relaxed, and I honestly forgot about the situation. However, that all changed very quickly when I heard the sound of footsteps from behind me. I glanced back and saw a man with a hood over his head. I thought someone was just walking the same path as me, but that thought quickly changed when he continued to follow me. I went through an alley where no one ever goes, and sure enough, I heard the same footsteps behind me. "Why are you following me?" I asked, not even daring to look at him. "I told you that you can't escape me, and no matter what you do, I'll always find you," he snickered, walking closer and closer to me. I didn't have a way out. I was blocked by a wall in front of me, and my only way to get out was to somehow dodge him and then run for my life. As I tried to run, I was suddenly grabbed and then shoved against the wall. He then put a switchblade up to my neck, then laughed maniacally. "Be a good girl, Emily. Just come with me, and I promise I won't harm you," he said, obviously lying. "Leave me alone," I yelled. My ex shoved me harder and then threw me onto the ground. I tried to back away, but he got the upper hand and then pulled himself on top of me. I yelled and yelled for help, hoping that someone would hear me. Someone would come to save me, and it felt like a blessing as I heard a voice yell, "Get your hands off of her, you son of a..." My ex stood up, and I was able to crawl away from him. I saw Anthony and Rosie standing at the corner of the alley. Anthony helped me up and then walked in front of me to face my ex. "What the hell is wrong with you, you creep?" he asked. My ex didn't speak, and he only stared at Anthony for what felt like forever. He didn't move a muscle. He just stared. "Oh, she liked it," he said in a low voice. "You were trying to rape her, you animal." I saw it with my own eyes. "What kind of person harms an innocent girl?" Anthony yelled. My ex continued to stare, and a smile cracked against his face. "Move out of the way," he warned, looking right at me. I knew that he was going to try and attack me, and I just continued to back away. "Not going to happen, pal," Anthony growled. My ex suddenly took the switchblade from his pocket and pounced on Anthony, trying to stab him. "Get off him!" I yelled. He continued to try, but all of a sudden, we heard the sirens of the police coming our way. My ex suddenly jumped up and gripped his switchblade. He tried to find a way to get out, but he was blocked from not paying attention. Anthony pounced on him, pinning him down so he couldn't escape. But he shoved Anthony off, and as he stood up, they saw the police car blocking off the alley exit. The police ran in, holding their guns up as they saw the man with the switchblade. "Get on the ground." "Get on the ground now!" one of the officers yelled. My ex just stared once more, taking a glance at me as he smiled menacingly once more. "This isn't the end," he threatened me. The police shoved him into the ground and put him in cuffs. He just continued to look at me, and he had that creepy grin on his face. "You can run, you can hide, but I will find you," he said. They pulled him up and then walked him over to the police car, and he kept staring. "I'll see you soon," he mouthed, grinning. The police car pulled away, and I ran into Anthony's arms, hugging him and crying into his shoulder. Rosie came over and joined in for a group hug. This was the scariest experience of my life, and to this day, I still have nightmares about him coming back. I'm 20 years old now, and this still haunts me. I now live on my own, and I haven't been in a relationship since that event. Nate, I hate even saying the real name of you. If you're still out there, I hope you burn in hell, you piece of... And so, this horror story continues to haunt me to this day. Despite several years having passed, the memories still linger in my mind. I continue to live and strive to overcome that terrifying experience. Although traumatized, I have found strong support in friends like Anthony and Rosie, who have always been there to protect and support me. This story serves as a reminder that courage and the support of friends can help us face danger, even in the most horrifying situations. I hope that anyone facing fear and threats can find strength within themselves and get the help they need. As for my ex who once haunted my life, I can only hope that justice will eventually catch up with you and you will receive what you deserve. May you find redemption and remorse for your actions.